Hi, it's Gene, retired in Mexico, and I'm here with my special guest, Professor Gumbo. Glad to have you,
Hello,
Jim.
glad to
How
be
you
here.
doing today?
I'm doing all right. Um, how are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm in a good mood. Yeah, looking forward to this. Counting down 1983. We're just sailing through the 70s and 80s.
Good
And
year.
for those who are just joining us, we appreciate any engagement, comments, likes, notifications. I'm on Instagram, Patreon, and Facebook. All the links are up above in the About section. And yeah, 1983 was, I don't think it was quite as strong as 82 or 84, but it was a good year. What do you think?
I think that in many ways, I mean, I agree with you, but in many ways it was even stronger because 1983 gave the debut albums of two of my favorite bands who are still favorites to this day.
Oh, I'm anxious to hear
As
what
we will
those
see.
are.
Yeah, when we get to number two and one.
So we're going to count down from 10 to 1 our favorite albums. We're going to select two songs from each album and we're going to make a Spotify playlist, which you can go down below. They're good lists. I was just listening to one of them last night and really enjoying it, though I fell asleep in the middle. But
That happens to me too. I think, well, wait, where did I fall asleep?
so I'm going to give a little background on 1980. We like to, or at least I like to start this way. It's or 1983. It's like what happened in '83? Because that was a long time ago, right?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it, but it really was.
So here are some of the things that happened in 1983. One was the internet was kind of born. So that's a pretty big deal. Now, ARPANET was migrated to TCP/P. Of course, I knew that, didn't you? So, but anyway, this is considered the beginning of the internet, 1983. The first mobile phone, the Motorola Dynatec, was released. Microsoft Word was released. So all of these are things that are still part of our lives today. So I think they're important. The Pioneer 10 passed Neptune and it left the solar system. Sally Ride was the first female U.S. astronaut. The U.S. Embassy in Beirut was bombed. That killed 63 people. Then later in the year, the Beirut barracks bombing killed over 300 servicemen, paratroopers, and civilians, U.S., French, and Lebanese. Democracy was restored in Argentina, so the reign of Augusto Pinochet was over. The final episode of TV show MASH, which was viewed by millions of people. I remember watching that. Michael Jackson premiered The Moonwalk on Motown 25. Top films included Return of the Jedi, Terms of Endearment, Flashdance, and Risky Business. Mick Jones was dismissed from The Clash. We've talked about that. The second the second US Festival was held in Glen Helen Park, California. I was there, so I'll be talking about that a little bit. 83 was a big year for me. Deaths included Karen Carpenter, Pete Farndon of The Pretenders, Muddy Waters, Chris Wood of Traffic, James Jamerson, the house bass player for Motown, and Dennis Wilson. Top US singles included Flashdance, What a Feeling, Every Breath You Take, Billie Jean, Karma Chameleon, and Beat It. Does that bring back some memories?
It certainly does. Yeah. Yeah. Um, it's kind of brings back a deja vu.
Yeah, or as George Carlin talked about, Vuja Day, that feeling that
Ujade.
this Vuja Day is that feeling that this has never happened before. So there's that too. So I'm going to begin. I'm doing the odd years for the 80s. And I got to tell you, this is it's kind of a bizarre list, in that the only comment I'll make is that I don't have the usual confidence this year. I came up with my top 10 and my five honorable mentions, but uh, yeah, I could insert and delete certain albums. I don't have 100% confidence, but I did the best that I could. And so I'm going to start with my number 10, which was an album that was produced by Jeff Emerick, the Beatles engineer, who had done Imperial Bedroom last year, and that made our top tens. And I'm not going to ask you to guess because I didn't know this was produced by Jeff Emerick, but I'm going with this is a surprise right off the bat. I'm going with Nick Hayward, North of a Miracle. Do you know who Nick Hayward is?
Yes, but I'm not real familiar with him, but yes, I remember him.
So he was the brains behind Haircut 100.
Yeah.
And his album North of a Miracle has some of the best, just has some of the best horn work you'll ever hear. And it's in that sort of thing we were talking about with Haircut 100 and ABC and bands like that. And I forgot to pick two songs, so let me go to my Spotify playlist real quick. I know what one of them is right off the bat. That's a song called "Take That Situation," which has some of the meanest horns. It's just so good. And then we will go with um, let's go with um, let's go with the hit "Blue Hat for a Blue Day." So "Blue Hat for a Blue Day" and "Take That Situation." Some really great horn work and percussion. Nick Hayward, North of a Miracle.
Sounds good. My number 10 is an album that I think I might like a bit more than you do. I'm not sure. I know that um, you spoke about it in slightly negative terms when talking about other albums by this band, but
Uh-oh.
I actually like it, and that is The Police,
Mhm.
Synchronicity. Um, this is a part of the reason I like this album is because I'm a huge Jungian. That's Carl Jung, Jung. I have read a lot of Jung's work, and he has influenced me a lot. And clearly, at the time, he was influencing Sting as a lyricist. And there's that whole Carl Jung thing going on. Um, let's see. Um, And that's what the term synchronicity is a term that was actually coined by Jung. Um, but it's also it's the last official Police album, and yes, it does have a couple weak tracks, which is why it's down at number 10. And I hate to make any accusations, but the weak tracks are largely due to the other two members of the band, who are excellent musicians, but they are not songwriters, and they don't come close to Sting. Um, but there's some interesting songs on here, songs that are not radio uh, type of stuff, but the two songs that I chose are, and they were the two hits. And the first one is one of those kind of like REM's "The One I Love," songs that everybody when the band starts playing them, men and women cuddle close to each other, not realizing that the song is about a highly dysfunctional relationship. I think it's even funnier when you hear that certain people used "Every Breath You Take" as a song to be played at their wedding.
Yeah.
It's a song about a stalker. Okay, if the song is from the point of view of a dog, then that's true, because they do watch you constantly. But a human being should not be watching you like this character is. And yet it's done in such a pretty, style that you don't realize how bad it is. But it's so possessive. Oh, can't you see you belong to me? Your My poor heart breaks with every step you take. Um, but still, it's a great song. The next is my favorite song from the album, and that's King of Pain.
Mhm.
Um, and I used to start singing that when I was at work. I would sing, "There's a little black spot on my shorts today." Um, uh, but King of Pain. Great. So the Police Synchronicity, their last album before Sting went into his solo career, and the songs are "Every Breath You Take" and "King of Pain."
Love those songs. I also like the two synchronicities.
Hmm.
Those are
I almost
great.
chose I almost chose one of those.
Excellent. Yeah, I do like that album. Like I say, it's got a couple of weak tracks, but other than that, yeah, great essay. It's great playing. And I think Sting's a great bass player. I don't know why people kind of rain on him a little bit, but all right. So my number nine is your favorite guitarist, Richard Thompson.
Love
This
Rick.
Hand of Kindness album's a pretty good album and good enough to make number nine on my list. We've talked about him on the other episodes. We've both seen him in concert, and Thompson's great. And this is a pretty good set. I don't think he's going to be making. I don't think he's going to be making my future lists, but this will be the third appearance of Richard Thompson, and I like it. And I'm going to pick Tear Stained Letter, which was also covered by Joel Sonnier, right? I believe that's who
Hmm.
did it.
Has a very
And that's,
Cajun feel to it.
yeah, that's a great cover of that song. I like them kind of equally. And then I'll go with, I don't know, it's kind of hard, but I think I go with The Wrong Heartbeat. But Richard Thompson's Hand of Kindness, pretty strong album, produced by Joe Boyd, and it was released on Joe Boyd's label. I didn't realize that Hannibal was his label, but it is. So the producer and the owner of the record label are the same person, Joe Boyd, and he always has a really good sound. So your turn.
It was great, great album. It really was. It was really the first post-divorce album by Richard. And it's interesting that this some of the songs are painful, but they're from the point of view of the woman who has been betrayed by the man. So at least Thompson was able to man up and admit that.
I
Sure.
want to
Okay,
change one of my tracks. Oh, go ahead. I don't mean to interrupt.
go ahead.
Well, the second track on here is called How I Wanted to. And Linda Thompson said it was her favorite post-divorce Richard Thompson song. So I'm going to go with Tear Stained Letter and How I Wanted to, which are
I
the
think
first
that's
two tracks.
I think that's great. He definitely wrote that for her from her point of view. Or I mean to her, sorry,
Right.
how I wanted to say I loved you. Um, all right. My number nine is something of a drop for this artist. Um, the artist was making consistently great albums, and this is a very good album, but it is not equal to the previous years, which was Imperial Bedroom. This is Punch the Clock, and it has some great catchy tunes on it, and it also has a couple strong political songs. It's kind of all over the map. If it has any weakness, it's that it doesn't have a constant feel to it. It's sort of like Elvis threw together some songs, and I'm going to show that with the two songs that I chose. The first one was this first single, "Every Day I Write the Book," which sounds like something that easily could have been off of um, Imperial Bedroom if it had had Elvis screaming before the beginning of it. But it's a really very catchy tune. One of Elvis's great single type books, single type songs. The other one is a song that is a very, very serious song. And I was lucky enough to hear him do this in concert. And it's a song that he wrote, I believe he wrote it for the singer for Soft Machine.
Robert Wyatt.
Yeah, Robert Wyatt, because Robert Wyatt did a beautiful, painful cover of this. And it's about the Falklands War that was going on. And the song is Shipbuilding. And it's Elvis is jumping from the realm of personal politics into social politics. This is where he started. There's actually two songs that are about the Falklands War. One of them is shipbuilding, and one is pills and soap. But I'm choosing shipbuilding because it's a prettier song and it sticks with me more. So Elvis Costello and the Attractions, Punch the Clock. Every day I write the book and shipbuilding.
I love those songs. And Robert Wyatt's cover is fantastic.
Yes.
All right, my number 8, Stevie Ray Vaughan and Double Trouble, Texas Flood. That's his debut. So you were talking about debuts. Uh, yeah, I love the blues. It tends to be a genre that I don't normally have an album, but he came along and did this electric Texas blues, and I love Texas blues, and produced by Richard Mullen with the band. And it's a great sounding album, and he's just such an exciting guitar player. I love watching a video of him. And I'm going with the obvious choices, Pride and Joy and Texas Flood, which is a cover about the telephone wires going down and everything in Texas during the big flood, apparently based on a true flood. But yeah, I think people know Stevie Ray Vaughan, so I don't have to talk about him. But I remember when he died, I was kind of a kind of upset by it. I was really shocked. 1990, I believe it was, that he went down in that helicopter. But I love Stevie Ray Vaughan. So, all right, your turn.
Okay. My third favorite album uh, from 1983 is a band that I grew to love during the 80s. They started off, I liked them, but by their third album, I was really getting into them. And that is the band XTC, which we've talked about before. And with after English Settlement, Andy Partridge definitely started going much more rustic and rural with his songs. He had a very he moved away from the electronic uh, stuff mostly, and the song that he put here was the first single, "Love on a Farm Boy's Wages." Very much a rural song by Andy, but and again, this is something I've talked about before. On any XTC album, there is a wealth of great songs by Andy Partridge. But Colin Moulding also wrote great songs. He only tended to write two or three per album. And one of the ones he wrote here is a little bit of a throwback almost to um, the uh, Guns and Wires, and that is Funk Papa Roll. Um, and it's a very, very funky song, and it has some of Colin's best singing ever. So, and so I give them each a song. One of them is Andy Partridge, "Love on a Farm Boy's Wages," and the other is Colin Moulding's "Funk Papa Roll."
Wow. Yeah, I love those songs. XTZ, so far we haven't had any convergence. I think that's going to start to change here, though. I think when we get into my top seven here, we'll have some crossover. My number seven, finally, someone who has made several albums. None of them have made my top 10 or honorable mentions, although I like all those albums. But Tom Waits,
Hmm.
Swordfish Trombones, love this album. And I think someone who doesn't get a lot of credit, he hooked up with Kathleen Brennan, who's still his wife today. And I don't know how, she gets co-writing credits. And I don't know how much she has to do with this album in terms of true songwriting, but she's certainly his muse and probably encouraged him to be a lot weirder. And the weirder Tom Waits is, the more I like him. I love this album. It is it has such great storytelling and vocabulary, and he's just such a creative storyteller. He has the most bizarre characters in his stories, really outsider characters and troubled people, and I just love it. And it was produced by Tom Waits. And I'm going with the songs 16 Shells from a 30-06. Just the title alone should tell you how weird that is. And then a song called Down, Down, Down.
Down,
But I could
down.
have picked any number of songs, but those are the two I'm going with. But yeah, I think Kathleen Brennan changed the direction of his career for the better. And I love this album.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. This is when Tom Waits made the transition from a quirky singer to a weird singer. You said weird, and that's it. It's there's weirdness to it. And 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 he has pretty much kept that weirdness ever since. He left Elektra and went on to what was the label? Anyway, it's a it's the first of a line of just totally WTF
Yeah.
albums by uh, Tom Waits. So I agree with you. It's great. All right, number seven for me. This album I'll always remember it because you and I saw them on this tour, and it's Talking Heads speaking in tongues. Um, and I'll always remember that. I think I pointed out already, so I don't need to say it again. But um, I was exhausted from helping you move, and I just sat on the grass in the humid Arizona late summer, and then and I enjoyed the beginning, but the I was kind of oh, this is uncomfortable. And then there was a light sprinkle of rain, and oh, that felt so good. It was like manna from heaven, and uh, I believe this is when they came back out on stage, and David Byrne said, "Who's got a match?" And they did "Burning Down the House."
Ah,
Um, most of the songs from Speaking in Tongues is on here. This this still had Eno influence, but it was really different after Remain in Light. This is where um, Talking Heads became a more distinctive David Byrne band, although I can't take away from the others. Um, the songs that I would put in there are Burning Down the House, of course. And then the next one is a strange one. Um, almost Tom Waits strange, not quite, but almost. And that is where David Byrne, skinny white Scottish guy, uh, tries to sing like um, an old black blues man, and that is Swamp.
mm.
Uh, is I'm gonna go high, 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 high. And it's one thing when ZZ Top do it, but when Talking Heads do it, it's just like, what? But it's such a great album, I mean, a great song. I chose that one to give a little bit of variety. Um, he sounds, he almost sounds legit. So we've got from Speaking in Tongues, Burning Down the House, and Swamp.
Great. I love that album. That was a great tour. Of course, it became the Stop Making Sense film, and that's
Yes,
considered one of the best concert films ever.
I agree.
My number six will please you because I don't think you know how much I like this album. But number six is Marillion,
Hmm.
Script for a Jester's Tear. You probably didn't think that'd make my top 10, but I
I
like
did
this
not.
album quite a bit. Nick Tauber produced it. And when it came out, I remember my feelings about it. I was conflicted because I thought, oh man, they sound a lot like Genesis. And why would they do that? We already have Genesis. Now, I'm just being honest about how I felt in 83. But now looking back at it, what is it? 17 plus 25, 42 years.
Mhm.
Now I realize, oh, well, somebody needed to take the mantle because Genesis was making pop music. And this is the same year that Genesis put out their self-titled album, which opened with Mama. And that's a pretty good album. I saw that tour. That was the first time, I think that was the first time I saw Genesis was on that 83 tour. And it was a great show and I love Genesis. But looking back at it now, I much prefer Marillion in 1983. And there's only six songs on the album. The ones I'm going to go with are He Knows You Know and Garden Party. I love Fish era Marillion more than you know. So number six, Script for a Jester's Tear.
Indeed, a great album. And they were taking the mantle from Genesis. As a matter of fact, this is one of the seminal albums that came up that people started calling neo prog.
Right.
And they've been together ever since then. So, with a different singer, but they're still great. Okay, great. I'm glad you put that on there. My number six. Ah, dun, 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 dun. Let's dance. David Bowie, an album that Bowie had been doing some great kind of experimental art rock, and then he decided, screw it, I'm going to be a pop star. And he took boxing lessons and got a little bit buff, and not a lot buff, but a little bit buff. And he added some members of Funkadelic to the band. Um, and he just, David Bowie always had a great pop sense. And so in on this one, he really did a great job with it. It was there are several songs that were huge hits, and I decided to go with both of them. Both, I mean, two of them. Uh, China Girl is an Iggy Pop song that uh, Iggy did a great job with, but Bowie, in my opinion, I know that you chose the Iggy version, and the Iggy version is great, but Bowie's version is slicker, cooler, and it sounds like a Bowie song. It has a great video too. Um, so that's China Girl. And then I have to put this on there because it's what the song that defines the album, and that is Let's Dance,
Yeah.
which really is a cool song. It's if Bowie had just moved on rather than try to recreate this album a few times, he would have it would have been smarter for him. And you guys know how much I absolutely love Bowie, so I'm not going to criticize Bowie. I just think that of his super popular dance albums, this one is the best. So that's David Bowie, Let's Dance, songs China Girl, and Let's Dance.
Great. Let's Dance is absolutely brilliant. The song, I mean, um, yeah, when Rick Beato did a breakdown with separate tracks where he would just isolate the bass and isolate the congas, and what a great, and the synth bass, and it has a synth bass and a real bass on it. So it's got a heavy bottom. Nile Rodgers produced that, and
Yes.
yeah, what, his work with the B-52s and Chic, and wow, what a great producer. Yeah, wonderful. So my number five now, we're sailing through this, is Brian Eno, Daniel Lanois, and Roger Eno's Apollo Atmospheres and Soundtracks. So this is one of my favorite Eno albums. It was produced by Brian Eno and Daniel Lanois, who of course would work with U2 and Coldplay and different people. Well, maybe Daniel Lanois didn't do the Coldplay, but they produced other artists. And, this was supposed to be a soundtrack to a NASA film, and then they decided to use different music. So they just released it anyhow, and it's great. A couple of the songs were picked up for the movie Trainspotting. And so that has increased the popularity of the album. I'm going to go with the songs An Ending, Ascent, and Always Returning. But the mood of this, the pieces are all different. There's a track called Mata, which is so unique. It's all ambient, but there's different moods and textures on the album, and it's a great listen. So, yeah, your turn.
You're right. It's a great album, and the Always Returning is fantastic. Okay, this is an album where I went, yippee, Dylan's back. Um, After making some dodgy albums with a few good songs, Dylan made a consistently great album. And was this saying goodbye to his religious era? Sort of, although there's still some of that in the lyrics, especially in the song I like the most. But it's Dylan at his acerbic lyrical best. And it also features Sly and Robbie, the excellent and that was Dylan specifically asked for them on the album. So they provide a really good beat to the album, bass and drums. Um, and then it was co-produced by uh excuse me for a minute. Uh Mark Knopfler of Dire Straits. Now, the whole album is really great, and I have one song that I love in particular, and that's the opening song, which is a great video also, but it's called Joker Man. And it's a song that has sparked a lot of debate as to what it's about, as much as the Joker Man. Is it Dylan? Is it Jesus? Is it Satan? Is it all three? I mean, it could be the Antichrist or it could be Christ, but just the lyrics are so good. You just gotta just read along with the lyrics with Joker Man. Uh, and so that's definitely the standout album. I mean, the standout song. The next one is uh, I could have chosen from several, and this one is I and I, which
Hmm.
after listening to the album again, I said Yeah, that's the one that has to go on there. I and I. Um, so Joker Man and I and I. However, if if you would have let me get away with this, Gene, and you probably would have, but it's a shame to me that the best song recorded for the album isn't on the album, and it's only on compilations. And so we probably won't be visiting it. But if I would have known that you were going to let me, I would have chosen Blind Willie McTell, which Mark Knopfler said that was the best song for the album. And why did Dylan say no? Well, nobody knows why Dylan does what he does. But yeah, if you are a Dylan fan and you have not heard Blind Willie McTell, that's almost an oxymoron because how can you be a Dylan fan and not have heard Blind Willie McTell? But that would be my recommendation. But Joker Man and I from the canon, from Bob Dylan Infidels.
Yeah, great. If you want me to put Blind Willie McTell on the playlist, I'll put that on there.
Yeah, I would replace I and I with Blind Willie McTell.
Okay, I think that's okay. We're cheating a little bit, but that's okay. You know why? Because it's our list. We can do what we want.
It's our list, and we'll play what we want to.
It's such a
Good,
great
thank you.
song. And I think this, you were saying whether or not he was kind of going away from his evangelical period. I think the song that kind of could be of that evangelical period is Man of Peace.
Yes, definitely.
And talking about how Satan appears, and such a great song. Yeah, I love that album. Sounds great, doesn't it?
It really does. Yeah. It holds
My
up so
number,
well.
yeah, go ahead.
I just said it really holds up. It's a great album.
My number four is a band that keeps making my top 10. But I love these four albums produced by Ray Manzarek. And this is X, More Fun in the New World. And this was the first time I saw X was on this tour. And maybe that gives me a little bit of bias, but I love this album. I think it's as good as, what's my favorite? Maybe Los Angeles, but More Fun in the New World is great. And it's just classic, smart punk. And I'm going with the songs The New World and True Love. And I don't have anything else to say about it. I just love X.
Great songs. All right, my number four is one that you had chosen also, and that is Swordfish Trombones by Tom Waits. And I totally agree with everything that you said about it. I would choose, obviously, anyone has to choose 16 shells from a 30-06. Gonna whittle you in, kindling. Black Crow 16 shells from a 30-06. And there sounds like what sounds like somebody banging on an anvil, And that's the weirdness of this. And then the other one is Waits had developed a way of doing weird ballads, and he had actually had done quirky ballads from the beginning of his career with Old 55. But this one is just a really great song about being in an urban setting and being disturbed by it. And that is in the neighborhood, in the neighborhood. And he's singing, and the goddamn trash man won't leave me alone. And he's just grousing. He's become a grumpy old man about this. And the video has a marching band, coming through his street, and he can't sleep because of this marching band. It's a funny song, and it's a song that if you've ever lived in a neighborhood, which most of us have, you'll recognize it. It's when you're trying to sleep, and the street cleaners come along, and people are making noise, and you just want to get your 30-06 and start shooting. So from Swordfish Trombones, 16 shells from a 30-06 and in the neighborhood.
Yeah, there's a neighborhood that I live in called San Miguel de Allende, Mexico. And that's what it is. Fireworks, firecrackers, car stereos, bands marching down the street. And the Spanish word for noise is ruido. I've memorized that word. Ruido. That describes the place where I live. If you don't like noise, don't move to Mexico. So it's great. I love that song. All right, number three for me. This is where I've got the Talking Heads.
I knew you
I
had to
got
have.
Yeah, number three. I love the Talking Heads, and Speaking in Tongues is a great album. It's got lots of streams on Spotify. People like it. I think because of the Stop Making Sense movie really elevated this album, but it's produced by the band and it sounds great, sounds wonderful. And this is when they brought in a bunch of extra musicians and yeah, it's a polyrhythmic party and it's great. And I am going to go. What songs did you pick?
For I picked Burning Down the House and Swamp.
I picked Burning Down the House and This Must Be the Place, Naive Melody. And I loved when they did that in concert with the lamp. That was great.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, Speaking in Tongues at number three.
Okay, my number three is Richard Thompson, Hand of Kindness.
Oh
And
wow.
as and we mentioned that this was his first post-divorce album, and it's in many ways, except it doesn't have Linda singing on it. This is a companion piece to Shoot Out the Lights. Okay, it has that same kind of sound to it, but it also Thompson was getting into Zydeco, even though he's Scottish. He's getting into American Zydeco, and you got on the opening track, "Tear Stained Letter," with uh, a, a uh, accordion being played on there. Uh, and I love Tear Stained Letter. It has one of the greatest lines that Richard Thompson ever wrote. Well, my head was beating like a song by the Clash. It was writing checks that my body couldn't cash. Um, just when I thought it could make me feel better, that's when I got the Tear Stained Letter. Um, and then after that, immediately he follows it up with How I Wanted to, a song where he sings about how he wanted to tell Linda that he loved her because he still had feelings for her, but he had betrayed her and he knew that. And oh, how I wanted to say I love you. And I'm glad that you decided to choose that one because it gave me a chance to, because I was going to choose Tear Stained Letter and How I Wanted to, but at the last minute, I threw in a song that is Richard Thompson doing his Celtic stuff. This is very much a Celtic sounding song, and that is Devonside.
Mm.
And it's another ballad, but it's not as direct. He's singing more about another couple, but it's still about a breakup. And this is about when the woman breaks up with the man. And Devonside is just a beautiful, beautiful melody, especially if you are a fan of Celtic music like I am. So, Hand of Kindness by Richard Thompson, Tear Stained Letter, and Devonside.
Wow. Yeah, great. So we both like, so there's some crossover. Yeah, it's going to be great on the playlist. My number two, this will not surprise you because you know how much I like them, but this is U2 War, produced by Steve Lillywhite. And Yeah, I know I'm jumping ahead. We're going to talk about the concerts we've seen, but they were at the US Festival in '83. And it was actually the second time I saw the band. I saw them on the October tour, and then I saw this war tour. And you can watch video of their performance on YouTube, and it was incredible. He climbed up the ladder, and the security guards were not happy because it was pretty risky what he did. He climbed way up on top of the tarp and he waved a white flag. And yeah, it was great. Not everyone loves U2, but I do, because I didn't know much about them, saw them in concert, and they were great. So I was happy to see them again. And I love U2. Larry Mullen, one of the best drummers. Adam Clayton, one of the best bass players. They have a killer rhythm section. And then, of course, the Edge comes in with his unique guitar stylings. And then Bono doesn't hold anything back. I'm going to go
Never
with
done.
the obvious choices off here. I'm going to go with Sunday Bloody Sunday and New Year's Day.
Great choices. Great choices. I agree. Um, okay. Now I told you that my two favorite albums were debut albums that have made made me love the bands. The number two. So here I am once more. Marillion, script for a jester's tear. And yes, it's true that there was a definite Genesis sound to them. Um, I used to talk about Marillion after their first two albums to friends saying, imagine if Peter Gabriel had stayed with Genesis, but had gone slightly off his nut. And that's what Fish sounds like. However, Fish frequently argued that that he didn't think he sounded as much like Peter Gabriel as like another Peter. And I agree with him now. And that is Peter Hamill. Okay. He definitely was a fan of Peter Hamill. On both the first two Marillion albums, you see Peter Hamill or Van der Graaf Generator albums in the painting. Um, and what is the opening line of this side of the looking glass, which is from Over, and that is, so here I am again. And here Fish opens with, so here I am once more. And he's singing very mellow, and then he gets kind of intense. And that was a trick that Peter Hamill would use. So it's not as obvious, but the influence, the fact is his voice is naturally like Peter Gabriel's. His influence is Peter Hamill. Um, so Script for a Jester's Tear it has great wordplay. Fish, was excellent with wordplay. Um, and it's a song about someone who absolutely loved a girl in high school or whenever, and she's left him. Um, and there's so many, like some of the wordplay is sort of off color, like, so I'll hold my peace forever. Um, you know, uh, while you wear your wedding gown. Um, and and then he says, it's gone solo in the rain. It's gone so low and solo. And it's like almost every line has wordplay in it. Fish rivaled Elvis Costello for serious wordplay. And so Script for a Jester's Tear is a great song. And it's a song that is a great introduction to the band. The next one is the very first song I ever heard by Marillion. Just before we got MTV, there was a UHF channel it was a music channel, and they played music videos. And I heard this song come on and I watched it. And here's the song that sounded like It sounded like Genesis, and yet the band they were all kind of dressed up like hobbits, and Pete Trewavas in particular, who's about 3 foot tall, was he definitely looked like a hobbit in it. But they were supposed to be juvenile delinquents hiding at a high class garden party, and they're hiding, and there's so many funny lines like, I'm punting, I'm giggling, I'm whining, reclining, I'm rocking, I'm fucking. It's great. It's great whenever you hear a live version of it because it's funny because Steve Hogarth H, who took over on vocals, would often not sing that line. He would just let the audience sing it, and they would shout it out. So welcome, it's a party, and it's just great song. I He Knows You Know is also a great one, fantastic song. But I would go with Script for a Jester's Cheer and Garden Party. And if I'd had three songs, my third one would have been Forgotten Sons, about the English soldiers who were sent off to fight against the Irish in Ireland and die.
Wow, great. So we have different songs.
Yes, two different
Oh,
songs.
well, I don't mind some extra. So that's we'll have two-thirds of the album then on our playlist.
We
That's
could
quite all
put
right.
Sons on there, but
I think our my number one might be your number one.
probably is because you haven't
I
said
have
it
a
yet.
Yeah, it's REM Murmur. Um, love REM. And another debut. So when you said debuts, I thought, yeah, probably REM's Murmur, produced by Don Dixon, who I like. He had his own career. It was a minor career, but he made some good albums. And Mitch Easter. So great sound. When we saw REM early, Michael Stipe still had long hair.
Hmm.
And he was kind of shy and almost singing behind his hair. But I love this album, and I'm going to go with the songs. It was hard, but I'm going to go with Talk About the Passion and Perfect Circle. But
Ah,
there's
so
many good tracks, but I like those
almost
two songs.
deep, almost deep tracks,
Yeah.
but they're so great. They're so wonderful. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to go wrong here. This is every single song is so great, so perfect. And it's not my number one also. And it was, and I thank you for this, Gene, because you got me into REM. You recorded this on a cassette tape for me. And on one of Cindy's and my trips to her family in Texas, we played it repeatedly. And we would sing lyrics that we did not understand because, that was what happened in those days. But the first song that is on there is Radio Free Europe. And the this was on their EP before the Hibtone, but this one's much better. And it's just to this day, it's an REM classic. And hold on just a minute here. Okay, the next one is a song that I think, even though I've heard the song a couple hundred times, I've resisted learning the lyrics to it because I love the lyrics that I just totally make up. And that is sitting still,
Hmm.
um, and a waste of time sitting still. Uh, and let me come over here just a minute. Okay, come on. Okay, I want to read you some of it. I mean, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but um, even from the very beginning, this name I got, we all agreed she could stop it well rid. It doesn't sound like that at all. But here's the chorus, which is repeated. Up to par and Katie bars the kitchen signs, but not me in. Set a trap for love, big kill. Don't waste your time sitting still.
Mm.
I mean, syntactically it's screwed up too. And then he says, "I can hear you. I can hear you. I can hear you." And he ends with, "Can you hear me?" But one favorite couplet is when he sings, "You can gather." This I actually knew this one. "You can gather when I talk, talk until you're blue. You could get away from me, get away from me. I'm up to par." And Stipe is just it's one of his most incredible vocals, and it's strange to think that he did such a fine job on vocals way back when the band was just starting. But that's true about a lot of bands. And later he began singing in a way that people could understand his lyrics, and I'm not going to argue about that. But REM Murmur, Radio Free Europe, and Sitting Still. And you chose Radio Free Europe, and what was the other one?
No, I chose Talk About the Passion
Oh, that's right. Great.
Perfect
So we'll
and
have
Perfect Circle.
Perfect Circle. So we'll have four REM songs on there. All right. That's wonderful. That is wonderful.
And we were talking about on Imperial Bedroom how just a quartet has so many different sounds and textures. I'm just amazed at this band, the different things they can pull out. It's just there's a little bit of keyboard on the album, but it's mostly just guitar, bass, and drum. And Mike Mills is a great bass player. He's underrated and he's a great backup vocalist. And Bill Berry, who's a pretty normal drummer, straight ahead drummer, when he left the band, they really missed him.
I'm not going away. I'm just getting something to drink.
Okay. And then, Peter Buck, of course, with all his stylings on guitar, they evoke so many different moods. They're pretty
Oh,
amazing.
yes,
Yeah.
it really is. It's one of the great debut albums of the 80s. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. And I like the second album, Reckoning. Well, I like the first four or five REM albums quite a bit. Um, okay, this is when we do our honorable mentions, and I've got an interesting list, very interesting, I think, that surprised me. And any of these could have been top 10, but anyway, I kicked them to honorable mention. First one is this one will surprise you. It's Aztec Camera,
Hmm.
Highland Hard Rain, their debut. I never really followed them after this album, but I used to own this on vinyl. And I like it a lot. And playing it for this project, it's great, produced by John Brand and Bernie Clark. And the opening track, Oblivious, is fantastic, but all the songs on there are good. So it kind of would make a good companion piece with North of Miracle if you were doing a cassette with an album on each side. So Aztec Camera, Highland Hard Rain is my first honorable mention.
I
My
remember
next,
that album.
you remember it? Did you
I
like
remember
it?
the album. I had forgotten it, but I remember it now.
Yeah, it's a good, solid album. And my next honorable mention is a band I like quite a bit, but it's never made my top 10 or honorable mentions. But I'm going to go ahead and throw in ZZ Top, Eliminator. Yeah, everybody's crazy about a sharp dressed man and legs and all these great songs. It's fun. It got some criticism because it has drum machine on it. A lot of people would say, well, why would you do that when you got Frank Beard? But yeah, I like Eliminator. I think it's a solid group of songs. So there you go. My next honorable mention is another debut album on Slash Records. We've talked about Slash Records. It's the Violent Femmes, self-titled. Blister in the Sun and Add It Up and a number of really good songs. What's his name? Gordon Gano. He was very young when he made this album. And I read on Wikipedia that he wrote most of these songs in high school.
Really?
It's a fun album. Um, my next one is Bob Dylan's Infidels. I agree with you. It's a great album. Couple missteps, possibly, maybe Union Sundown, but and you know, when we did the Bob Dylan discography and we did our favorite cover songs, it helped me appreciate songs like Sweetheart Like You. Craig Finn did such a great cover of that song. And yeah, Man of Peace, and you mentioned I and Joker Man, and most of the songs are really good. It sounds great. Bob Dylan's Infidels, it's one of my favorite Dylan albums, even though it didn't make my top 10. And then my last honorable mention, this will please you. I see you have a different shirt on today. You have a Herman Hesse, Steppenwolf.
Yep. One of my favorite
Show
books.
everybody your shirt. So I bring up your shirt at this point because I have a German band on here, and it's my favorite. It's one of my favorite bands to say their name. It's Einstürzende Neubauten. Zeichnungen des Patienten Ote. I don't know if I said that correctly, but I like them. My favorite albums by them are their compilation strategies. Strategies Against Architecture, I believe they were called. There's 3 volumes. But for just a single album, I actually own this on CD, and I've owned it for decades. Einstürzende Neubauten, if you're not familiar with them, they are an industrial band, and they play sheet metal and bells and 55-gallon drums, and man, this is a sonic delight, and it's not an easy listen because the subject matter is about let's just say a medical institution. It's based on a book, I guess, and it's a little bit frightening, but it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. And I know you're a fan of this band as well. So those are my 5 honorable mentions.
And the lead singer for the band and guitarist, Blixa Belgard, for a long time was a member of Nick Cave's Bad Seeds at the same time that he was with Einstürzende Neubauten. Okay, yes, really cool choice. Okay, my choices are more um, predictable. They are kind of uh, bands that I wanted to have in my top 10 and I just couldn't fit in there. And one of them, of course, is U2's War. And the song that I would choose is Sunday, Bloody Sunday. Um, and so, just missed. I said, okay, so Police or U2? And, on another day, I could easily have chosen U2 over the Police. Next one is the second major album, not the second album, the second major album by this duet with a woman who had one of the most amazing voices, and that is Annie Lennox. And the band is Eurythmics, and the album is Touch. And you want to hear a great song from it? Here Comes the Rain Again.
Mm.
The next one is a band that came out of the ashes of a band that I really, really like a lot. And that band that I like a lot is Joy Division. And when Ian Curtis killed himself, the guitarist took over and became the singer, and they brought in another musician, and that is New Order. Okay. Um, and New Order became kind of predictable after a while. But on this album, Power, Corruption, and Lies, they were really they sounded like where Joy Division was going. Okay. Just not as depressing. Um, and a song that was an incredible dance song playing at the raves and all is Blue Monday. And that's the song that I would choose, Blue Monday. Um, Next, a band that I would have liked to have on here. I have them on many times. They're one of my favorite progressive rock bands. This is an album that I like, but it's not as great as it could be, and yet super popular. That is Yes, 90125.
Hmm.
It, kind of interesting because uh, Yes had kind of broken up, and John Anderson was doing his own thing on vocals, and he wasn't part of Yes. And then Chris Squire met up with Trevor Rabin, the guitarist, the Australian guitarist Trevor Rabin, and he asked them, "Let's do something together." And it started as a band called XYZ, which was X Yes Zeppelin, okay, but it never came to fruition. And so Yes had pretty much fallen apart. They kept Alan White on drums, and Steve Howe on guitars. So you had a second guitarist now. You had both Trevor Rabin and Steve Howe. And then on keyboards, they reached all the way back to the beginning of Yes and got organist Tony Kaye, who had started playing synthesizers as well by this time. Um, so it was a very different band, and they recorded some tracks that Trevor Rabin and Chris Squire wrote, and then they asked John Anderson to come and listen. And they said, your voice would really sound great with ours, because Rabin and Squire both sang on the album. And they said, will you listen to this? And Anderson, in his humble, not humble way, said, if I sing on it, he said, if I sing on it, Anderson has a high voice. If I sing on it, it will be Yes. They said, fine, it will be Yes. So they come up with 90125. And this had like three really strong songs on it. But the best one was the hit. I mean, I almost put Leave It. There were several, but had to put Owner of a Lonely Heart because it's it was such a seminal song for them. And it had some really weird electronic sounds on it. So this was the revitalization of Yes. It didn't last too long. Then after a while, they became the old Yes again. But they did a couple albums like this, and it was a great song. The last one, my favorite artist ever, Van Morrison. In 1983, Van Morrison released two albums. One was Inarticulate Speech of the Heart. And that was a fine album, but the best songs on it sound better on this live album, live at the Grand Opera House, Belfast. And on Inarticulate Speech of the Heart, Van had a song called Ray Vaughan John Donne. And Van had taken as far back as Veed Fleece, started mentioning, name dropping great literary figures. Well, Ray Vaughan John Donne is a spoken word piece essentially over a new agey music thing. And in and of itself, It's fine. But it goes far beyond fine when he goes after the Slash and does Rave On Part Two. The band starts picking up, Van starts picking up, and his vocals soar, and I get goosebumps just thinking about it. I still do. And so on it when it says tonight in the sitting room tonight, you will understand the wonder. And it stretches out a 4 minute song into a 9 minute song that is a great closer for his concert and will be a great closer if you decide to put it on something. But it's Rave On John Donne, Rave On Part Two by Van Morrison live at the Grand Opera House, Belfast.
That's good. So a couple comments. One is, again, this year, I think you picked maybe the highest on Rate Your Music. Let's see. No, the highest on Rate Your Music is Speaking in Tongues is number one, but Power, Corruption, and Lies is like a top five album on Rate Your Music. So yeah, you've got a lot of company there. The Tom Waits is a top five as well. On the Van Morrison, recorded in '83, but I don't know if you're aware, it was according to Wikipedia, it
It's
was released
released in '84.
in '84, but you want to put it on the '83?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, we'll cheat. All right, I'm going to talk about the bands I've seen in concert and probably gonna have a lot here. But I have seen REM four times. Uh, I've seen U2 eight times. Talking Heads twice, X three times, Stevie Ray Vaughan and Double Trouble three times, Richard Thompson twice, ZZ Top twice, and Bob Dylan twice. The band I wish I'd seen in concert, I had a friend who saw them in concert. I wish I'd seen Einstürzende Neubauten. He said they are fantastic in concert, but I never got to see them. So those are the folks that I've seen. How about you?
uh seen Elvis Costello twice. Uh Talking Heads once in their finest hour. David Bowie several times. I've lost track of how many. Bob Dylan twice. Richard Thompson three times. Marillion. I'm going to count the 2 nights in a row at House of Blues in California that I saw because they did almost two completely separate sets. And on both of them, EJ and I were standing right up at the front of the stage, which was really cool. Um, and so it's basically, it was like a 4 hour Marillion set stretched over 2 days, 2 nights. And that was on that was just before their oh, why am I having so much trouble with my memory now? Uh, Let me check something real quickly. I even have recordings from these shows because Marillion is known to record their shows. And so the song that this or the album is I have like 100 Marillion albums, so it's hard to. Uh, wouldn't you know that it would be from a? Oh, here we go. Uh, the House of Blues, and it. No, it meant so much to me that I want to say what the album was. I, you know, I mean, I know practically every song memorized, and EJ and I were thinking about what songs would be best as we drove out to California, and they played almost all of them. Uh,
Let me pull up their
I'm
discography
sorry.
here.
I'm
And
sorry, but the more I try to think of it, the harder it becomes for me. Uh,
you remember what year that was?
yeah. Oh, it was from Sounds That Can't Be Made. It was the album had not been released yet, but they were doing songs from it. And so
Okay.
Songs That Can't Be Made. Great album, fantastic album,
Hmm.
fantastic show. REM, uh, twice. U2, once. Eurythmics, never. New Order, never. Uh, Yes, never. And Van Morrison, four times.
Okay. Well, we've done pretty well. And like I've mentioned before, if you like a band, you see them in concert, and then if you see them in concert, you like them even more. So it's not surprising that we've seen the bands that are on our lists. Um, I think they go hand in hand. So yeah, so that's it. I think this was fun. It was an interesting year. And uh, like I say, I think it was a little weaker than 82 and 84, but still a good year. You think?
Yes, indeed it was, I think.
And as you mentioned, some great debuts. So REM, Marillion, Stevie Ray Vaughan, lots of Violent Femmes, lots of people put out debut albums this year. And so you could tell that there was a shift. And the old guard was, we were talking about Genesis. The old guard was kind of being replaced with new names. And MTV had a little to do with that too. So at this point, MTV was 2 years old. And you were going to start to get Madonna and Michael Jackson and Prince and Bruce Springsteen's second leg of his career. And so, yeah, things were changing. So, well, that's it. You got a sign off you want to give everybody?
Everybody have a wonderful new year. We'll see you in 2026 if we survive.
Okay. And as we say here in Bonita, Mexico, buen dia.